Welcome back to the Back in Time channel. Okay, guys, we're here for episode 3 of the Xscape versus SWV Queens of R&B. So, we're going to talk about the opening scene, and we open up with Taj and Tasha, and they are meeting up at this historic place where it's basically like a collage of musical artists, and then they're just reflecting on their history of their peers in the industries and people that they ran across or had some type of encounter with or just developed relationship with throughout the years being in the music industry. And they just was just reflecting and taking it all in that they are a part of musical history. And in a way, it came off as if Taj was trying to get Tasha to see, like, hey, you had a huge impact in the industry and the things you're going with in your group. Like, that's small, that's very small minded, petty stuff that really doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's about the impact you make in, your fans also. And so she tries to pick her brain. She was like, so do you think everything's gonna be fine? She was like, because it seemed like the last time we met, you had a lot of issues going on with the group and with your sister. And she was like, Tasha was like, my only problem was she disrespected my mom. And Tasha was like, well, that's the only thing. She was like, yeah. And you can kind of tell that Tasha didn't believe her, because she said in her confession, she was like, Taj, or she was like, and you can kind of tell that Taj didn't really believe her, because she said in her confessional that Tasha really just came off vague with her answers about her and her sisters having issues, and she think it's more than that. Now, mind you, last week she sat and she talked to Tamika, and she told her what the issues were going on with her and her sister. So obviously Tasha is lying, making it seem like it's just um about Tamika disrespecting the mom, and it really isn't. At the end of the day, it's about not only y'all taking 30K from her, but you making it seem like she's crazy, because she was like, people change, and make it seem like tried to make it seem like Tamika has issues going on with her. And she even said something about her body shaming her, but that's the only problem that she has. But the biggest problem out of the two is the one of her disrespecting the mom. She also went on to mention that she has a solo deal going on in the works, and she's trying to step out and find freedom. And it was interesting. She said she was trying to step out and find freedom, and I'm like, well, Xscape just got back together like 5 to 6 years ago. It ain't been that long since the group reunited, and you didn't have 18 plus years to find that freedom. And it's just like, I understand it takes time for some people, in life to, grow to a certain and get to a certain point. But 18 plus years, 18 plus years later, you still talking about some, you gotta find your peace. You gotta protect your peace. You try to protect your energy and everything. And you haven't even mastered the art of just being civil and being able to sit in a room without, being a ball of negative energy. So to me, it's just like, everything Tasha does, it comes off like it's self-serving purposes only. That's just my opinion. And we're gonna go on to the next scene. The next scene we got with Coco. She's meeting and she's talking about her upcoming shows with her best friends. They just go on to tell you. She goes on to tell you in her confession about how she trusts them and how it's nothing like just industry and everything. When she with them, they are her real friends and she trusts them. And she also says that she thought about killing someone at some point, and she knew then that she had to get some help. She was actually diagnosed with bipolar depression, I believe she said, and she actually is on medication for that. And this is something that's very serious within the black community. Like, and a lot of times we just brush over and look like, oh, well, they just crazy, and just keep it moving. But actually, people be needing therapy and stuff like that, because that stuff can lead you to go over the edge, if you're not expressing and being able to um release your feelings. So I thought that was good that she put that out there, that she recognized that she had a problem and she went and sought out help. The next scene we have is Tamika and her mom scene. This is the scene that I was waiting on. This scene was very, very heavy. And the thing about it is, I don't think this scene was as heavy for the mom as it was for Tamika. But before I get into that, let me tell you what happened with that. With this scene, the mom is visiting Tamika. They obviously filming together. They finna talk. She comes to the door. She greets her. She was like, "Hey, hey," and they greeted each other like they haven't spoken or talking in a while, or since the other day, or however long it's been. It's just you can tell that things really, really, really got to a point where their relationship is affected. So she tells her mom she can come in. She was like, "I cooked." She was like, "You cooked?" She was like, "Yeah, I cooked." She already had the plates and stuff ready. She really just tried to set the mood and make things as peaceful and calm as possible. Her mom was like, "You made the plates and everything?" She was like, "Yeah." So they sat down. They went to talking. And Tamika just said to her mom, she's like, "I just want to try to make things right." And then the mom says, "Well, ever since the last time we talked, my heart was broken. I want to know what's the issue with me, you, and Tasha." And Tamika goes on to tell her, she was like, "My only issue is that when I want to express how I feel, it's disregarded, but Tasha can express how she feels. You show favoritism." And her mom, I guess that struck a chord with her, because she was like, "How do I show favoritism? How do I show favoritism?" And she told her how she showed favoritism. She takes Tasha's side on everything. And then and the mom's like, "I don't show favoritism." But she was like, "But if you feel like, you know, I show I have more relationship, or I show more love to Tasha than you, well then I'm sorry." And when she said that, it was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I can't say if she was being genuine or not, because I don't know her mom personally. I have never been around them. I haven't grew up around them, whatever. She knows her mom, so she knows if her mom means it or not. And that's only up to her to accept the apology. It's not me. I'm not the one who's being apologized for. But I just felt like the mom did that in sort of a way to, like, how sometimes you got older generation, okay? The older generation is not as, expressive with communicating and stuff like that and talking things out. So when you got somebody that's younger, like their kid, their child, or whoever, try to, have that tough conversation with them, it's hard to break through with them, because they grew up in an era where, okay, we don't talk about this. We just keep it moving. We brushing it, sweep it under the rug. So I'm saying that to say it felt like in that moment, that's why the mom said what she said. Well, then I'm sorry. And it just came off like, okay, I'm just going to say this to have this moment pass. Because not only do I want this moment to be over, but I didn't like how everything is going to play out with the filming. I didn't like how everything went. And so to me, it felt like, okay, well, let me cover myself and let me do this X, Y, and Z. But then she still proceeded to go on and kind of like, reprimand her. Like, "You don't disrespect me ever." She was like, "You don't disrespect me on no level." She was like, "I am the fifth member," and all that, because they did a flashback, production did, of Tamika telling her mom that she's not the fifth member of the group, which is the truth. She ain't the fifth member of the group. So a lot of things that goes on within the group is for the group to handle, not the mom to intervene and try to get through or whatever. And so she used that, and she said, "I am the fifth member. I am the fifth member when I place that mic in your hand. I am the fifth member when I took care of you and your sister when your dad left and blah, 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 blah." And when she said that, I was like, ding, 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 ding. My point from last week of what I was saying, this is exactly what I was saying. Did things go wrong between Tamika's father and her mom? Because she literally sat there and threw in her face about her taking care of them. And which I don't understand why certain parents do that. I don't understand it. Why do you have to, or you feel the need to tell your children or your child about you doing stuff that you, as a parent, you're responsible for? Like, if you have a newborn or a toddler, it's not their responsibility to clothe and feed themselves. They didn't ask to be here. They don't know how to do those things. That's your responsibility of a parent. If you chose to have a kid, a child, whatever, however the relationship may go between you and your partner, however it may go south, that's neither here nor there. It's up to you to make sure that you do feel those duties of taking care of that child. So when parents throw it in their kids' faces, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, what? It doesn't make any sense. I never understood that. But then Tamika went on to say that her mom, she's just mad at her dad a lot, and and it's almost like she take it out on her because Tamika's a daddy's girl, and they have a good relationship. So obviously Tamika still talks to her father and have a good relationship, and the mom was mad because they had to struggle a lot. She was a housewife. She was used to being at home and doing her little wifely duties and doing things that a traditional housewife might do. And so when her dad left, which is not funny, but she was a single mom. She had to work 2 jobs and all that. Something that's, not new out here, but very commendable. But it's like she's taking that out on her daughter. And I can see her saying, well, since you want to have a relationship close with him or whatever, I'm a bond with Tasha, whatever. And I feel some type of way about that. And it's like she kind of like takes it out on her every time she sees her. So I can definitely see that happening. But Tamika tells her, she was like, Mom, I'm sorry for disrespecting you. I love you, and I wasn't trying to hurt or disrespect you or whatever. She was like, but, if you can't respect me as an adult, then I'm going to have to fall back. And that's why I said it was heavier for Tamika than it was for the mom, because Tamika, it takes a lot of strength and power to really, really be able to tell your parent that, especially if you have fear of your parents. She obviously have fear of her mom, but she knows that her peace of mind and she deserves better. And so when she told her mom that, her mom like, what do you mean? And that's when the mom went into the whole, I love you more than anything and all that. And they was able to hug it out or whatever. But it was very emotional for Tamika. Now the mom sounded like she was about to cry, but I ain't see no tears. But Tamika's face was full of tears because it's obviously something that really, really bothers her. She's been dealing with this, like she says, all her life. So let's go to something a little more lighter. So we get to the next scene where we got Taj and Candy. Now, Candy and Taj go way back. These two used to be 2 peas in the pod because Candy said that they were really close at one point. They were super cool. They got that Taurus vibe, energy, or whatever they twin with. And they just had a lot of stuff in common. And so they meet up and they start discussing the business as far as the group going. Like if they're going to do this one tour together with SWV and Xscape. And somehow Tasha comes up and Taj mentions to Candy about Tasha going solo. And Candy is like, I knew it. She was like, this is the same thing that she did the first time the group disbanded. She started distancing herself. She started acting funny, treating us funny and everything. And she was like, she up and left and did her own little solo deal. And she says, well, whether or not Tasha want to do this or whatever, go solo or whatever, she was like, it shouldn't stop anything. She's like, Xscape is still going to be Xscape. She's like, basically she's saying that Tasha is not Xscape. She's a part of Xscape, but she doesn't make up the whole group. And that has been the thing that's been with that group for forever, because Tasha was known as the big girl that can sing, or the big girl with the voice who can sing the best out of everybody. Now, granted, she has a great voice. She does, but that doesn't take away from anybody else, because in my opinion, I'm just saying, in my opinion, Tamika has the strongest voice out of all their voices are great. Not to take away from Tiny and Candy, but Tamika has the strongest voice. She can do all her sister's parts, and she can do her parts. And then you got Tiny and Candy who can do, vice versa as well. So I mean, this whole Tasha is Xscape thing, it's getting ridiculous. So they was like, well, like Tasha was saying, she was like, the group can still go on. We can still do the show whether she's coming out with or without her. We can still do it. And so she was like, we're gonna see how things go when we all meet up to rehearsals or whatever. So we get to the scene where Lily is at a place and she's talking with her son, and he's talking about how he want her to, really catapult him with his music career. He's going into dabbing into music, and he's really serious about it or whatever, and he want to use her resources. And she don't mind using her resources or whatever, but she also wants him to put in the work, because she says it's a lot of hard work. And she talked about how she's on her grind. She's in her grind zone, grind mode, and she wants to make a sex book. She got one coming out, whatever. And they talking and discussing about it, and it's a little bit cringing for him because, of course, that's your mom. You don't want to imagine your mom in certain positions, or even just talking about sex at all. It's just very, very uncomfortable. But he still supports her in a way or whatever. And she's just discussing with him, like, there's a lot of stuff that went on in her life that she shielded her kids from. She shielded them from the fact that she slept in her car, homeless, and she was on the streets of New York in her car, and she went to sleep 5 o'clock in the morning to avoid getting sexually assaulted, or attacked or something like that. And her story is very, very powerful, and that's what I like about this show, is that they really, digging in, giving you a background of people or how they grew up and stuff like that. And Lily's story is very, very commendable. She talked about how she lost everything, how she had to work her way from the ground up, and how, it hurt her really bad, after the group broke up in 98. And that's not, something that's uncommon. You got these all boy groups, all boy band groups, and then you have all these all female band groups where the lead singers tends to go solo, and then it's like everybody else is just left in the wind, and they fall by the wayside because of poor spending habits, not having enough money to begin with, or just not knowing or having any direction on where to go, as far as just preparing for their future, whether it's investments or having an accountant and things like that, or just being really backdoored by the label or the industry. And you see that person who goes solo takes off and have success most of the time, and then sometimes you see them that they don't have success, and then they come back to the group and they realize, like, hey, we are stronger together, this is definitely the case for Xscape, because I don't see it happening for Tasha. Well, it might happen because, again, in the gospel field, the church will support you. You gospel artists, and you can sing, that fan base that you accumulate, they will support you. So she talked about that, and basically she said that she hustled her way. She worked her way up. She went back to school. She got her GED. She got her job, and she got back into the industry, in the group and stuff, and it's just been up from there. So we get to the scene where you got Tasha in the studio. She in the studio working on her gospel album. She's doing her ad lib, and she's in the studio in the booth, and she sounds really good. I'm not going to take away from her. Her vocals was good. Even though she does 101 runs, they are some good sounding 101 runs. Then her husband comes in dancing like a maniac, and he's basically playing with her back and forth while she's in the booth. And he acting like Ike Turner, joking with her, talking about you gonna sing the song like this and all that or whatever. And I'm just like, well, that's not too far-fetched from Ike and Tina, because you definitely abuse her, but not physically, but in my opinion, you abuse her mentally, because you feeding her of what to say, obviously. And that could be proven in the confessionals, like last week when they played back, when you whispering in her ear, telling her everything to say. I feel like manipulative in a way, and manipulation is abuse. So they discuss, you know, basically the text that Candy had sent to Tasha saying about meeting up with the group and doing that SWV show or whatever. And he was like, do you think it's gonna happen? She was like, I don't know. He was like, have you told them? No, I haven't told them. And I think it's weird that she haven't told them at this point about her going solo and stuff. She wanna hide behind the fact she want everything set in stone, because every time she talk about something, it don't happen. Well, it's not gonna happen if you don't have the right intentions. When you do things with the wrong intentions, they're not gonna work out, because you all about self-serving purposes. And then he goes on, proceed to bring up Tamika. He's like, your sister discussing me, bring me up every chance. I don't know why, you know, making it basically seem like she's a lie. He was like, but I forgive her anyway, as always. So basically, he's saying it as if she always bring him up. And that flashback and bring, or that takes me back to when the mom said, when they sat down, Tamika and her mom said, she is crushed. You brought up her husband. Tamika was like, she is not crushed. And I was like, no, she ain't crushed either. And so she was like, you bring up her husband? She was like, she only bring up her husband because he be involved in her business. And so when he said that, I'm like, yeah, she don't care for you because you always in her business. And so he was claiming like he forgive her as always. And she claims that she don't know if things are going to go good or not, if she don't know if she's going to decide to do the whole concert thing. So he said to her, well, if you do, whatever you do, you get that mic and you remind them of who you are. And I'm just like, when he said that, I was like, yeah, he definitely Ike Turner. He reminded me of when Ike told Anime when she was taking too long to come out from backstage. Anime, you better get your behind out here and sing. Yeah, that's what it took me back to when he said that to her. So we slide on to the next scene. The next scene we got. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe here with us at Back in Time. But until next time.
This is a good time. Get the stepping. This is a good time. Get the stepping.